so many of you want your say on the chat we've just had with Ben Proud. Who is he? Olympic silver medal winning swimmer Ben Proud has just become the first British athlete to sign up for the Enhanced Games, and these games launched 2 years ago. The inaugural event takes place next May. It's a format where athletes are permitted to take performance-enhancing drugs. So while Ben Proud, who's a proud Olympian, has said yes to this, he's quite openly discarding his past, or is he? Because it's a total change of approach and attitude, no doubt, for this one-time Olympian. And Ben spoke to us live.
There's many reasons for this, but essentially I have a great opportunity to capitalize on a skill that I've developed and really try and secure financial security for myself, for my mum, for my family, and, you know, pursue something very, very new that's different from the traditional format.
Simon, I'll get your take on it in a moment. Many people want to say Audley has been listening very closely to it and is very keen to join us. Audley, good morning. What did you make of the chat?
Absolute crap. I don't want it. You're supposed to be a role model to your children. You've got to be a role model to young people. You guys got people taking drugs and coming on your station, right? Spencer Oliver, your colleague, he could have died. And you lot, drugs is serious. Drugs is serious.
You're comparing. I understand what you're saying with Spencer because there's a combat sport and we're very strong on that.
I don't care. Drugs is serious.
But yeah,
drugs,
of course
they are.
Yeah.
Okay, calm down a second, Audley, and we'll come to you.
But also, by the same token, I'd like to think that role models are parents, and parents to guide their children the way they want to go. And if we need role models to make our children achieve things, then we have to look at our own parenting. This lad is entitled to make his own choices. He's entitled to compartmentalise it and say, I was a young man and I produced the excellence in my sport, and now, for different reasons, I'm now retired. I'm no longer a swimmer that competes in the Olympics. I'm something different, and I'm going to go into this space, and I want to do it for money. Now, I understand your irritation and frustration and feeling that there needs to be this idea that a role model has greater responsibilities, but these boys don't ask to be role models. It's not part of their obligations, and the biggest role models should be the ones that the parents define, which is their disciplines over their own children.
Listen, you're talking crap. You're supposed to be a role model for your children. Drugs, alcohol destroys lives.
Yeah, okay.
What is wrong with you people?
Yeah, okay.
It destroys lives. I'm 6 times British champion, 6 times European champion, 6 times world champion, world record holder, drug-free. I brought my son up the same way. I'm sick and tired of people trying to justify taking drugs. People die. I've told my friends, don't be taking steroids. 5 of them, they're dead because they don't listen.
Audley, one thing I would say to you, if you calm down, I'll just put this to you. It's his choice, isn't it?
Yeah, but you come on his show. You're supposed what kids?
Well, of course we have. Of course we have.
Why would we not? Why would we not have him on the show?
Listen to me. Lots of young men are taking steroids. They're dying. They're killing their
Yeah, understood that.
Why can't you not understand that?
Yeah, but there's no.
Why can't you understand
There's no
that?
point bellowing at me. You know, if you want to make a point, you can make it with some coherence without bellowing. No one was validating it. No one was justifying it. Is your version of events to drive it underground so no one's... It happens. The visibility of it, the transparency of it, sunlight's the best disinfectant. By bringing it into the public domain, people can formulate very strong opinions. You bellowing and screaming, getting all emotional about it doesn't make a coherent argument.
People die.
We understand that.
Understand that?
We understand that. What was your sport?
You're not listening to you. You're supposed to be a role model to your children.
Yeah, I heard that first time, man. I got that on the first bounce.
People die.
Audley, let me just jump in here. Let me jump in here, Audley. Just calm down for a second. Am I right? Do you have a background in sport?
Yeah, I've just told you. And I've never taken drugs. I've been checked so many times.
What sport? What sport and what was the background?
Powerlifting. Powerlifting world champion.
Powerlifting.
Yeah. And I've taken on people that have taken drugs. Guys from America that have taken drugs. And I've beat them. Yeah? There's nothing wrong with hard work. And you've got people taking drugs. People die, man.
Yeah.
Spencer,
have you heard the discussions? You've heard the discussions that we had and the condemnation that I had around the situation for Conor Benn. If you've listened to this show previously, then you'll know that there's a very serious attitude taken towards it. But you can't just not have a conversation about a subject matter that's in the public domain that's going on. You can't just not have a conversation about it because you don't agree with the principles of it. The conversation was had. No one sat on this platform and said, well done you, Ben.
You're damn right I don't agree. 5 of my friends have died from taking drugs. I said to him, listen, just work hard, man. You'll be fine.
Audley, clearly you have a very strong view in it, and thanks for joining us. Before we get to 11 o'clock, here's Brian, who's a big Celtic fan, I think, but who wants to speak on this. Brian, good morning.
Hi Jim, how you doing? Normally I'd phone you and complain about your talk about my football team. What I'm phoning for is my son's a swimmer. He swims in the Scotland junior team. Got to British this year. Great wee swimmer. He heard this news last night. He's always really liked watching Ben Proud. Kind of looked up to him. Guys like him and Duncan Scott. But last night when he heard that, he was very disappointed. He couldn't believe that such a talented athlete had resorted to going down this route. When you're up at 4:30 every morning, like I was, going to Glasgow Swim Club, it's quite hard to justify to a young man that's what somebody like him, one of his idols, would do.
I see, and your son has changed his view on Ben now as a result of what Ben has decided to do then, Brian.
Yeah, totally, because I mean, Jim, being a swim parent and being a swimmer is extremely hard work. I mean, he trains every morning and every night in between school, and all the hard work and effort, and then to see somebody who could potentially swim faster than they probably could be clean, it kind of takes off what they're actually doing and what my son's trying to achieve, and most young swimmers are trying to achieve.
Well, the tragedy of this part, because there is a clear delineation. This Ben Proud has retired as a competing athlete. Yeah. He's coming back in a different guise in the same way that James Magnuson came back to get paid. So there is a delineation between a clean athlete and the validation and all the kudos and cachet that goes with that. Sebastian Coe talks about it in great detail about the nature of how commercial people will want to be assigned, aligned to certain kinds of athletes going forward rather than these sort of athletes. So you are able to say and compartmentalise and go, well, the Ben Proud that my son admired was a competing athlete that's now decided that he's prepared, for want of a better expression, to prostitute his principles to go and get paid.
Yeah, I agree with that, Simon. I totally agree with that. I mean, I think the biggest problem here is, I mean, if you look at Duncan Scott, for example, I think he's getting the most medals of any swimmer in the UK ever. He doesn't get paid a lot of money. My son's just left still in swim club. He sees Duncan every day swimming. They don't get paid a lot of money for what they're doing, you know, and the majority is sort of sponsorship. So they dedicate, I can't think of a harder sport than swimming in terms of time that you have to commit 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, my son does. They don't get paid for that, really.
But the challenge of that, and I don't mean to be mean-spirited, is if you know that going in, it's like saying that I wanted to be a nurse, training to be a nurse, my vocation, all of a sudden I'm not getting paid as much money as I thought I was going to do. Yeah. Well, you go into something knowing what it is, you make your choices.
Brian, listen, thank you very much indeed. Obviously, it's a topic that brings about some very strong feelings, and certainly Audley falls into that category. Nonetheless, Ben Proud has decided it's the enhanced games for him.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.